The auctioneer scanned the quiet crowd before calling out, "Do I hear $25,000? Not a single voice replied. A warm breeze swept across the dry Texas plains while more than 100 people stood without saying a word. The ranch had sat deserted for years. Its fences were falling apart. The pasture had turned brown and barren. Rumors claimed the well had completely dried up, and every local rancher believed the same thing. Buying that property was the fastest way to lose everything you owned. No one wanted it. At least no one, except one man standing silently near the back of the crowd. When he slowly lifted his hand, the entire auction changed. Heads turned. Whispers spread through the crowd, and a few people even laughed. Nobody recognized him, and nobody could understand why someone would gamble everything on a ranch that everyone else had already written off. But only minutes later, Caleb Turner became the new owner of the most unwanted ranch in West Texas. What he had no idea about was that the land was hiding a secret that would change his life forever. West Texas, April 1983. 24-year-old Caleb Turner drove his aging pickup down a dusty highway. The engine shook with every passing mile. The truck had seen better days, much like the life Caleb had been living for years. But appearances never mattered to him. For as long as he could remember, he had chased one dream: owning a ranch. Not a huge ranch. Not a flawless ranch. Just a place that truly belonged to him. A place where honest hard work had meaning. A place where he could build a future from the ground up. Ever since he was a boy, Caleb had admired the ranching life. The early mornings, the cattle, the endless open fields, and the quiet pride that came from working the land. While other people spent their money on comfort, Caleb saved every dollar he could. He took on fence repairs, labor jobs, equipment work, anything that earned an honest paycheck. Year after year he saved. Year after year he waited. Then finally, a bankrupt ranch outside Abilene was listed for auction. Most people looked at it and saw failure. Caleb looked at it and saw an opportunity. Before we continue, if you enjoy watching someone build a ranch from the ground up and want to follow Caleb Turner's complete journey from beginning to end, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. This is an ongoing story, and every episode continues where the last one ended. You won't want to miss what comes next. By late morning, ranchers, investors, and curious locals had gathered around the property. Everyone had heard the stories. Everyone knew its reputation. The former owner had gone bankrupt. Every attempt to bring the ranch back to life had failed. Eventually, people began calling it a cursed piece of land. The auction got underway. The equipment sold first. Old tools quickly found new owners. Machinery was loaded onto waiting trucks. Then the auctioneer introduced the main attraction, the ranch itself. The crowd fell silent. He called for the opening bid. Nothing. He lowered the starting price. Still no one spoke. Several investors glanced at one another. No one wanted to take the chance. Finally, someone placed a bid. Another bidder followed. The price slowly climbed before coming to a stop. The investors backed away. The auctioneer looked across the crowd. Any other bids? Silence. Caleb could feel his heartbeat pounding. This was the moment he had waited for his entire life. Slowly, he raised his hand. The crowd immediately looked his way. Whispers spread from person to person. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody expected him to bid. An investor quickly increased the price. Caleb answered with another bid. The investor raised it again. Back and forth they continued. Every new bid felt heavier than the one before because Caleb wasn't bidding with extra money. He was risking every dollar he had spent years saving. At last, the investor lowered his paddle. The auctioneer looked around the crowd. Going once, Silence. Going twice. Still no one spoke. Sold. The gavel came down. Just like that, Caleb Turner was the owner of a ranch. For a brief moment, he simply stood there, unable to move. The dream he had carried for years had finally come true. But instead of excitement, the people around him looked worried. As the crowd slowly drifted away, an elderly rancher approached him. He studied Caleb quietly for a few seconds before speaking. "Do you know why nobody wanted that ranch?" Caleb slowly shook his head. The old man pointed toward the property. "Because everything that could go wrong out there already has." Without another word, he turned around and walked away. Throughout the rest of the afternoon, Caleb kept hearing the same kinds of warnings. Costly repairs, broken equipment, dry pasture, hidden financial problems, and countless issues that nobody seemed willing to fully explain. By the time evening arrived, the excitement he had felt was gone. For the first time, Caleb began wondering if he had made the wrong decision. The following morning, he returned to the ranch by himself. No workers, no help, no promises, only Caleb. In the quiet, the ranch felt completely different. It seemed bigger, colder, far more abandoned than he had expected. He walked across the entire property. Miles of broken fencing stretched into the distance. The barn looked unsafe. The earth was cracked and dry. Everywhere he looked, something needed fixing. Far more than he could afford. Even so, Caleb believed in one thing. Hard work could solve almost anything. At least that was what he hoped. Then he arrived at the well. The most important part of the ranch. The source of life for everything that depended on the land. He lowered a bucket into the darkness. He waited, then pulled it back up. Empty. He tried once more. Nothing. No water. Not even a single drop. For the first time, real doubt crept into his mind. A ranch without water wasn't really a ranch at all. If you're following Caleb's journey of building a ranch from nothing, now is the perfect time to subscribe, because what happens next will test everything he believes about this land. As the sun began to set, Caleb kept exploring the property. Near the far edge of the ranch, something hidden beneath thick, overgrown brush caught his attention. It was a small building that looked almost forgotten. Its door hung crooked on rusted hinges. Inside, a thick layer of dust covered everything. Old tools were scattered across the floor. Broken shelves leaned against the walls. Then something caught his eye. A metal box tucked beneath an old workbench. Caleb pulled it free and brushed away years of dust. The box was locked, but attached to it was an old, faded envelope. It looked as though it had been waiting there for years. Slowly, he turned it over. 6 words were written across the front. To whoever owns this ranch. Caleb froze. Outside, the wind began to pick up. The last sunlight disappeared beyond the horizon. And suddenly, the ranch no longer felt abandoned. Someone had left a message behind. A message meant for its new owner. What Caleb Turner didn't realize was that opening that envelope would uncover a secret buried deep beneath the ranch. A secret powerful enough to change everything, or destroy his dream before it had the chance to begin. To be continued in Episode 2. If you're enjoying Caleb Turner's journey of building a ranch from nothing, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Because the truth hidden inside that envelope is only the beginning.